Hey, welcome to Angry Comics. We're here today. Hopefully the sound is going to be okay. We're having some technical difficulties. So
now you said welcome to Angry Comics, but welcome to three.
Three, right? But our name is Angry Comics, correct? Because that's what that little thing that you made said. Angry Comics. But there's three of us.
That was a comedic joke. So I was warming up the audience with that one.
Yes, you'll get
everyone's dying.
I'm like, wait, am I are we having a branding moment here where we should have been three Angry Comics?
No.
But
yeah. Well, if you look at the news that's going on, we should be very angry. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. So guys, launch it. I hopefully everything's sounding okay, but so much to talk about. Anybody want to take the lead? We've got plenty, so I can.
You guys go ahead. I want to jump on. You want to do the Disney thing? You want to jump on that when you guys want to hit that a little bit?
Just right out the gate.
Oh, okay. Let's go for Disney. Well, Disney's firing back at DeSantis, right? So they're down in Florida. Just all of a sudden,
the whole premise of the whole thing is that don't say yay, right? That's what started all this, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
Which is that what it's really about, Jenny?
Not at all. Not at all.
Well, a point was made that they never said one thing when this bill was going through, and all of a sudden, they hopped on this bandwagon, and they're dying on this hill right now. And I think this is a hill Disney will die on, and it's coming out. I know Buzz Lightyear's coming out. And apparently in this new Buzz Lightyear movie, two lesbians do kiss in the movie.
I just watched, it was an interview with a Disney exec, African-American woman with short hair. And she was just thrilled at how she's just throwing gay stuff into everything now. Like this is her thing. And she's just excited about adding queerness to all the Disney stuff.
Yeah.
She feels like she's been unshackled and she can do whatever she wants now, regardless of what parents really think about introducing sexuality to their little kids. They don't want it.
This is about Disney having this. We've given Disney to be this babysitter to our children, basically put on a Disney movie, leave the room, go get some stuff done around the house. Right. And now we have to babysit Disney. It's unbelievable what they've been indoctrinating our children with. And I've watched a lot. Disney, this has been this is nothing like what Walt Disney had wanted.
No.
First off, but these movies, they a lot of trauma. If you've noticed every Disney movie, there's always a traumatic death scene. They don't have one of their parents. It's always trauma.
They kill off the mom right away.
Right. And I think studies have shown that when children are introduced to trauma at a young age, it basically messes their brain up. And it basically, and I watching, I forget where I got this information from, but that the CIA realized that young, that if you can get to a child's brain young and basically traumatize the brain, then you can have this, it's more malleable, controllable, right? So then, and look at where we are. We've
trauma grooming.
We've been raised on Disney, Bambi, right? In the 70s, Bambi gets shot, or his mom gets shot, or her mom, whatever.
Mom died, right? Wasn't she dead? They're all dead. All the moms are dead.
They're all dead. Yeah.
Moms have a sixth sense about this stuff. A sixth sense about sickos. And,
right.
Yeah. So.
Well, I think Disney, I don't understand why. And I do think the CEO supposedly was a little bit more centrist. He followed up Bob Iger. Bob Iger was the CEO for 20 years. He came after Eisner.
Yeah.
And he was definitely a little more leftist a little bit. And then the new guy is not supposed to be as much. But for some reason, and I know we've seen this with Spotify and other they don't stand up for the 15, 25, 30 employees out of hundreds of thousands. They stand up and say, hey, you better do this, or you better be able to talk about this. And no one has anything against it. You get the freedom to talk about what you want to, but what company just goes, hey, by the way, you don't agree with the way we do it, we're going to listen to you 15 people. When do we start doing that? It's a social thing now that Disney, we all know that Disney has created their empire since Walt started with his vision, was all about family. That was what Walt's vision was the entire time. And whether it's a family with, whatever type of parents it is, he was not intending on jamming other people alternate thoughts and stuff down kids' throats. He wanted kids to go and enjoy the innocence of being a kid. Not how can anybody that works at Disney or not just works at Disney, it could be anywhere, think it's okay to talk about even we can't. No one's who in kindergarten is talking about their personal lives to that kind of level about that kind of. Nobody should be ever. I don't care if you're straight or not. You're not going to talk about something that will be considered sexual orientation. Nobody talks about that. You talk about your family and your friends.
I don't
about your vacation.
Anything. Yeah, I don't remember. Do you guys remember knowing anything about your kindergarten teacher's personal life? I don't remember.
No, just teach the kids the alphabet. Like, do your job and leave your personal life at home.
Yeah, you might have a picture of your family on your desk. Okay, so what? It doesn't mean you have to talk about what give me examples. You got to give them examples of being a transgender. That doesn't come up. That's you bringing it up from your own. I don't know what repression you got going on to feel like you need to talk about something like that. No, yeah, you went camping over the weekend. Yeah, maybe that comes. Yeah, I had a fun time with camping with my friends or whatever.
Right.
You're not going to talk about sexual orientation or nobody's going to bring that up unless you're sick and twisted. We know that. So
right, and it's time. It's like, and I want to stress that our country is a free country. People can choose what they want. But when we send our children to a public school, when you're an adult, when you're an adult, but when you send your child to a public education system run by the government, they should not have the right to sit there and inflict their belief systems on our children.
Yeah,
that's not okay.
Not know the political affiliation or anything from their teachers. That's not really their job.
No, not at all. Shouldn't know anything about it at all. And it just is just these powerful entities from the very top down or whatever we've talked about all the bad boys and the bad guys and all that stuff. They put money out there and force these groups to do it. There's money being poured in to indoctrinate the kids, whether it be for control and masking, whether it be control and you better comply, or we're going to do.
Let's be honest, the whole masking thing real quick is that those schools were paid in the millions. Those districts were paid in the millions to put mask mandates on those kids. It had, and the sad part is it wasn't for the benefit of the children. Like, it wasn't to help them. It was for the money. And that's where I think Americans need to wake up. Like, these decisions that have been made, these mandates for like PCR testing, these mandates for people having to take certain medicines, like all of that, that was never for the best interest of the person. You know, all of these decisions should be made between you and your doctor and without outside influence.
Yeah.
Right. I was telling Jennifer, I think Robin was off a while ago. My podcast is coming out for Dad Static in the next couple of days. It's talking about a mom. You guys are just like her. My wife is just like her. She got tired of it. She got tired of them putting all the kids in her. Governor Abbott in Texas said you're not going to have mask mandates in Texas. But guess what happened? Individual school boards still had the power to make their own decisions. And that school board has been being paid, or they are someone who is somewhat, tyrannical or fascist, or let's be honest, they got paid money to go, you know what, we're going to put masks in. This lady I spoke to yesterday, she's running for office, and I'll share that on my next podcast. And she stood up and already defeated the Republican establishment who believed the same thing about mask mandates for no reason for kids. We know kids aren't in danger.
On. They've even said it doesn't work with kids.
Well, it actually does the opposite. It hinders children.
Yeah.
Like, children's the development of the delays that we lost for these 2 years of kids being masked is incredible.
Yeah.
And that's very
I was
disturbing.
Looking. Oh, it's beyond belief. But I have a 2-year-old now, and she's learning to talk like exponentially every day now, and it's just like I'm watching her speak to me, and I'm watching her brain move, and her mouth and lips are contorting, but she's looking right at my mouth the entire time, watching me, and that's how she's learning how to talk. She watches me and my wife and her sisters. That's how it is. And these kids, and they're 2-year-olds now, still to this day, that are being forced to wear masks. And stunning all kinds of development for these kids, yet the money keeps flowing, and they keep. I mean, this lady who I spoke to yesterday is in Dallas, running against this fascist tyrant. Nancy Pelosi was even down there last week to speak with him and the Health and Human Services guy in Dallas because they want more money for COVID tests. They need more money. That's taxpayer money. They need more of it on a test that we know is not accurate whatsoever. And we also know that kids are so little danger with COVID. It's ridiculous. They're still pushing it.
This is why people like us, we've got to do what we're all feeling called to do. Get involved in your local legislative government, start going up, showing up, supporting people, because this is the only way it's going to stop.
Yeah,
you got to start on a local level.
Speaking of that, there is a thing you can do with school boards, and this is how they've stopped it, is they will, you call in the bond. So if you call in the bond on the school board, they have to pay out of their own personal money to fight it. And it's like $40,000 to start. So basically that's, and there's a whole, it's like, look it up. It's called Bonds for the Win. They have Telegram channels by state. And you can look it up, how you can get in, you can sit there and go after the bond. And that's how you take them down.
Okay. So there you go.
You got to put pressure on them. Because these people in these school boards, and you guys have already said it, there was an article today. What you're talking about, we already knew that these jurisdictions, these school boards, these states were all paid money to keep kids in masks and to do all this other stuff. I mean, there was an article that popped up today. It's finally out in the blue. Fox News, a major news outlet, finally reported on it, that the CDC and the teachers unions were in cahoots. Of course, we already knew it, but now it's actually coming into the mainstream media. Everything we talked about 6 months ago is all coming out to the mainstream slowly but surely.
Isn't it creepy that it's not real news unless it's on CNN or Fox or NPR?
Exactly.
Like it's
which are owned by
does not exist unless it's on a major news station. Reality. So now the standard of reality is not God's word. It's not what you see with your eyes or what you hear with your ears or what
it's what you feel
in the clinics. It's
how do you feel?
What?
How do you feel? It's what you feel. What do you feel?
That's what it is.
That's what it is. It's your feelings.
That's what matters.
It's not facts. It's feelings.
Yeah, but it's disturbing that it's only like even Hunter Biden's laptop was not real until what, the New York Times reported it.
Right.
Now we can say
now it's a thing. And now where is it? Where is it?
Boy.
I think it's next to Joe Biden's real dead body. Not the one with the ears, because we know the ears, let's just talk about the ears again. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my gosh.
But doesn't BlackRock own CNN and Fox?
Yeah, they own them all.
It's like when you start to realize it's all controlled, it doesn't matter.
And they own Pfizer.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, here we are. We're going to pay for you to promote it. We're going to require these independent companies, these private businesses to require it for their employees.
Right.
And make money off of it when these things happen. What a great model of business success right there.
It keeps cycling, You think you have choices. And it's like, do we really though? I mean, we think we're like, oh, well, we're going to go over here or we're going to vote over here. But it's like, you got to just drive that evil out. It's pure evil.
It's everywhere because it's in Florida too. Just because DeSantis is the governor doesn't mean it's not there. There are areas in that state that are just as bad as. I mean, Texas. You would think Texas would be the last bastion of free. There's some horrible areas in Texas that are just pushing and going against it.
And Austin.
I mean, going against Abbott. Abbott, you think, oh, he's the one behind DeSantis. He's scared to death too. He's trying to get elected. He don't want to touch anything that might hurt him, so he stays out of everything. And it's just we need people who have spines, and they don't have spines.
It's like even the guy that was being questioned about Hunter's laptop, the FBI guy. He's like, well, I don't know. That's not. Basically, it's like, who's going to actually stand up and say something? Like,
and just break ranks. Who's going to break ranks? But can they break ranks? Because if everybody in every level have been paid, if they say something, are they under a threat? Are they going? They know they're going to go to prison. I don't know. I think it's all the way down to certainly the school board level and some principal levels in big areas. And I think they have been paid, and they will whatever idiocy they're going to keep up. They're going to do it. I mean, you see it in the Supreme Court nominee. I mean, she's obviously very experienced, very smart, but she's controlled by the narrative too. Calm and cool and collective. Hey, she's smart. She's been through. They tested her. They know. But Ted Cruz is an example. And I don't love Ted Cruz on everything because I think there's other things he could have stood up on, but he didn't. But he destroyed her and made her look like a fool. But yet the media doesn't talk about it. I mean, she can't describe. Marsha Blackburn asked her, tell me what's a woman. You're going to literally sit there in front of America and say, I'm not a biologist. I mean, and then she's still probably going to get. She's probably going to get in. It's just what's insane.
So, even that we can't define what a woman is.
Of course we can. It's just.
You know what? I'm going to say is right here. That is offensive to me. That's offensive to me to say. You want me to put on my little snowflake hat? That's offensive for someone to say, I don't know what a woman is. That's offensive. I am a woman. I know who I am. And then, and Tim, you're a man. I mean, that offends me to say that makes
it should. It should offend all women.
I'm less than because you can't define me than who I've been this whole time.
It's an attack. It's an attack on women. It's an attack on women.
Absolutely.
It is.
It's an attack on everything.
Yeah. And it's yeah. And it's sad because here we are, right? And we just watched what happened last week with the swimmer. Oh, Robin, you muted yourself. What'd you say?
I said they're killing us off like in the Bambi movies.
Yeah.
It's true. They're coming out.
They want to reduce moms. They certainly want to reduce them. They're already reducing dads. They already kicked dads out of the home, say they don't need them anyway. So, hey,
And then moms, we can't even define who you are. And we're going to stick the men up against you. And if they identify as you one day, we're going to let them have, go where you go to the bathroom. It's like
it's
little
so
by
creepy.
They don't.
It's going to take what you guys said. It's got to be grassroots. This lady in Texas. There's a lady in New Hampshire I heard on the podcast the other day. Same thing. New Hampshire is free, is almost as free as Florida is. I had no idea. They're one little state in the middle of the crazy New England area that does not push mask mandates. They don't do all that crazy stuff. But I heard a young lady, she's a little bit younger than us. She's probably early 30s. She is just, I'm a mom and I'm standing up for liberty. And that's it. There are people out there like that. So those are just a couple examples. We've got to do it though.
Yeah.
There you go. If you're angry, don't just be angry and be a keyboard warrior.
Exactly.
Stand up in your own local community. Find out what's going on at the school board level. Find out what's going on in your local and county governments because they're the ones who really pull the purse strings.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are taking my Cobb County. They're taking grant money. That's what this was all about. These pandemic powers that they did.
Yeah.
It's about
county.
That's what it's really.
The little county where I grew up in on the southern side of the south side of Atlanta, so it's not really considered metro. It's just outside of it. Oh, they're getting paid. I look at their local newspaper. I see stuff on the front that's a true indicator of like they're getting paid. They're pushing stuff on the little bitty small newspaper and talking about doing this with kids, and the kids need to look. It's all stuff it's written at a national level and spilled down to them. They just put it in their little paper.
You start realizing we're at war. No doubt we're at war. With these narratives, and it's unfortunate, but whoever has the loudest, you're in a crowd, if you've got the megaphone, they got the microphone, your voice is going to be heard, and unfortunately, when you have that power and you have those platforms and you're pushing it. But what's really interesting is we've all gotten really sick of that loud person, right? Because we started realizing, even though they're so loud, you're muted again, Robin, even though they're so loud, we realize it's just a bunch of, crap,
It's a loud noises.
Yeah.
And
I find it very interesting that most people have learned to try to outsource. Right now, trending on Twitter is, delete Facebook, which I find really interesting. Anything that trends on Twitter, it's like, sometimes I'm like, oh, they want that to trend. Or they allow that to trend. It just seems very interesting. Like it's in their best interest to let this trend versus when I was following the truckers and the People's Convoy, that stuff gets shut down. Anything for, conservative, that's not going to trend.
I mean, from a social media perspective, it's also about splitting the lanes. Like I think the truckers in some ways, there's lots, it's like little minute breaks against lots of places. The truckers didn't have like a singular focus. Some of these people who are coming up and making big changes, they have an entire machine driving towards one singular focus. And then but the truckers, I think they kind of split apart. They had different convoys, and then they had 15,000 hashtags. so you really couldn't get like stable information about them. And I think that's even delete Facebook, and they're allowing that to trend. Why are they allowing it to trend? I'm learning something new, and it's there's a great website called The Ethical Skeptic. Right. And it talks about how there's two sides. There's like one extreme and then like another extreme. And then what happens is you have these two extremes, and then comes up the third person in the middle. And so, or even a fourth person who comes up behind that. And these are the ones who are really controlling the game. I'm becoming more and more interested, like where even the language, like right now they're calling it your second booster. No, it's your fourth shot. Come on, let's be honest. It's your fourth shot. It's not your second booster, but they're trying to make the language seem like it's not such a big deal. Mm-hmm. And it's very subtle, all these little ways. And it's who controls the language controls the people. I believe.
Yeah. You muted.
Okay.
Okay, there you are.
For a second.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. You said something about controlling the language. Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, just go back to what the Supreme Court nominee said. I mean, it was all about language. That's all it was. It was controlling how we want to redefine things. We know that they've redefined who knows how many words in the dictionary since the whole pandemic started. And it really, I think the hardest thing to get a grasp around, I think we understand this certainly now, and a lot of other people understand this, but getting a grasp of the fact that our federal government and someone even bigger and billionaires across the world can take the top and feed billions of dollars down to levels to little, just to small, medium-sized towns, and control those leaders. And you control, like, they're going to control the Dallases, the Houstons, the Atlantas, the Miamis. That's going to happen. The New Yorks, the San Frans. That's going to happen. But it gets all the way down to the lower levels in some of these other areas. And you're like, how do these people not have freedom and liberty?
You starve them. You starve them. They're all hungry. They need money. But you created the atmosphere where they had no money. And so they jump on someone who walks around and hands out $100 bills and a smile and a pat on the cheek.
Yeah, you got teachers making $42,000 in a little county way outside of Atlanta, and you come and say, "Hey, we'll give you such and such money." Most people are going to turn.
Yeah. Well, it's like
it's innocent. They make it seem innocent. We're going to give you a grant for this thing that you need, and so we're making it seem like we're the good guys.
Right. No, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was just thinking about in Moses' time when he let my people go, and they make it worse, right? They say, well, you got to make those same amount of bricks, but we're going to take away the straw. You got to go find your own straw. And I think when you sit there and you oppress people over and over and make it harder and harder, and gas prices are up and food shortages, and it's more and more, people can't sit here and pay attention. They're just trying to survive. And yet they don't, it's unbelievable, but they've done it. They've done it very well. I think the blessing.
You made a good point. Now that it's going to be, inflation is going to keep going up. Prices are going to keep going up. It's even easier to get people to turn now and to take that money, because people will be getting more and more desperate as the inflation climbs. They're going to just take the money.
And let's talk about the housing market. Even the housing market. Like, I talked to a guy yesterday at the barbecue shop near my house, and it was just like, he goes, his rent went up $300 overnight.
What?
Wow.
They're squeezing out the lower middle class, and even the lower class with the.
They want to get us on the teat.
Because they want you on the teat.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why it's important. I think we keep having conversations, waking up and being aware, and doing everything we can to empower our communities, because that's where it's going to be most important as this oppression gets harder and harder, because I don't think I see a letting up. And this isn't just happening here, guys, in the United States. It's happening in Canada. Everywhere. It's all over. They're this is, we all know what's really coming down the way. They want the New World Order. It's really trying to be ushered in.
But it's not. The smallest level, it's not fair. Like, the American people and the people of the world didn't sign a contract to let them kill people's grandmothers with bad protocols, or even to lose their money. Like, it's a transaction or a contract that was created that people didn't sign up for. And that's the part that I really hate. Like, why do these people make these decisions that trickle down and hurt people? Like, that really bothers me. I'm really angry and a
yeah, and we all should be angry because that's what happened. You know, I keep going back to the lady I talked to yesterday. Only it is because it's so fresh in my mind. Her kids were the only two, and they both had medical issues. The daughter had multiple eye surgery, so muscle surgery in her eyes, and the son has had multiple open heart surgeries. And these kids are like 11 and 14 years old. So the last thing they need to deal with, the only two kids and 604 kids in the school that didn't wear a mask. So, you know, there are other parents that are like, well, I don't know if I like this, but you know what? We'll just do it anyway. We don't want to cause any waves for the kids. So they went along with it. And these two kids got ostracized. They built a little prison cell of plexiglass, wouldn't let them play PE, wouldn't do any of that stuff. And this is just one, you know what happened in we saw examples of it in different places. But and that's when this mom decided to hammer away. They just did, it was unreal. And then the school board blocked their emails, did everything they could to keep them from communicating with people in the county or the city. Yeah, it's unbelievable. You can hear my story. You can listen on Conservative Review. It's on there. It is maddening. And she finally she went down to the Republican office and said, I want to run. I want to run against this Clay Jenkins tyrant. I'm going to take him out. We're going after these people. He's just one person that's pushed by the machine. He absolutely is. And then she got down there, and the Republicans told her she's not really qualified. She's not what they're looking for. She had to fight through every bit of it, and finally,
you've got to fight
and won.
Good for her.
I want to tell you something. People think, well, I vote for Republican, and they're for freedom, and they're for lower taxes, and they're not.
Nope.
But what I've learned is they're just as bad. I mean, the Republicans, when George Bush didn't go to the Republican National Convention, they're all in on it. And, you know, just because you vote a certain party, it doesn't mean you should always vote policy and previous history. How does that person vote in the past? Walks like a duck, you know, come on.
Judge a tree by its fruit, you know, we've got to get back to that. You look at a person and their character and what they've done. And that's why I think there's this rising up of these new warriors that are just average people. That,
they're like,
are like sick of it.
I mean, this is like Braveheart. We're like, I feel like that's who we're fighting. We're like the feudal serfs. We're like putting on the face paint. We're like, come on, man, this is not cool. But you know,
I don't understand. The Republicans, there's a lot of Republican governors in this country, but you know, so few of them fight for anything. They have super majorities in some of these legislators in different states, and they don't do anything. They still keep the tyranny going on. So this is the thing I don't get. It's the money. It's all about the money. You're exactly right. It's all about money. But why? You know, eventually, besides DeSantis, he's the only one. But it seems like these Republicans would understand if they stood up to the medical tyranny, medical freedom. Protecting the kid. Don't talk about anything else. Second Amendment, saving babies, all that comes along with that. We know that. You talk about freedom, medical freedom, and protecting our children. I think 9 times out of 10, you're going to win because that is what Americans want.
Yeah, period. Absolutely. And we want some integrity back in the elections.
Who's going to stand up and go, hey, this doesn't make any sense. This is stupid. We're not doing this.
Right.
Yeah. And they got to fix the elections. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, we can sit here and have this conversation all day, but until they fix these elections.
Went in and out, but
me? Am I getting lost? Oh, you guys can't hear me.
I can hear you. I can hear you, Jen.
Oh, okay. No, she's lost. She's frozen.
Robin,
you're frozen. Disney princess right there. She's an angry Disney princess.
Yeah, she does look angry, but yeah, you're right. It's just I don't understand why. Yeah, we got to get the elections fixed, and you know everybody on the left tells you you're a what do you call it? Pretty much a terrorist for saying that the election would have some fraud in it, you know, or not just some fraud, but ridiculous amounts of fraud.
Right.
You know, if they're coming that hard at you for that, we obviously know. We know the Two Mules movie's coming out soon. And it's going to show. It's got absolute proof the people who are running ballots.
2,000 mules.
2,000, not 2 mules. 2,000 mules.
What's this about?
It's just showing how they were able to basically GPS track these, so to speak, mules, people that were taking the ballots and putting them in the drop boxes, which were funded by Zuckerberg. You know, more and more, I just want to get off Facebook. I want to get off Instagram, anything connected to him. I'm feeling it like I just don't even want to promote on there anymore. I just want to, you know, I hate to say it, just feeling it. But
yeah, they GPS tracked all these people at 2 and 3 in the morning, and they triangulated all of it, and they've got full proof that these people dropped off thousands. Guys, same people did 6 and 7 drops throughout the morning. And
it's almost like, did they think that we were all just going to go back to sleep? You got so many people that have critical thinking and obviously can think for themselves.
Right.
And no, nothing to see here. Go back to sleep. Take your blue pill. Go back to sleep. It's like, okay. Oh, that'll teach them January 6th. Okay, you guys, if you're any way associated with this, you're an insurrectionist, you're a racist, you're a bigot, all these smearing lies to get us to shut up. But I'm sorry, truth is truth is truth. And the truth will set you free. And it's coming. And they know it's coming. And how they're going to try to sell it or put it under the carpet.
There's more of
us
than them. There's way more of us than them. And people are waking up.
Yep. Got to keep mobilizing, though. Each community's got to do it. Got to do it.
Yeah. So listen, I know we're trying to wrap it up at 30 minutes. I do want to end on some good news. Pastor Arthur Pawlowski is being released today. Yeah. 51 days.
Praise the Lord.
51 days. 51 days in jail.
And what do they give some kind of, I know them.
Oh, it's a bunch of crap, stupid, dumb rules that make no sense. And poor guy. And he's got, guys, the fines, there's a pastor, there's a web, you can actually give free pastor or freeart.com. But anyway, his legal fees are through the roof. And this guy does tremendous work, does a lot of does a lot of help for the homeless, and so active in his community. The battle is not nearly over for him. And who knows what type of restrictions he'll be under getting out. But knowing Pastor Art, he's not going to shut his mouth. He can't.
You got to keep fighting.
So good news, he's getting out. But look at what they did to Tamara Litch.
And that's who stood up. The pastors who stood up in the.
And guys,
pastors have to stand up. We have to have more pastors here standing up, and we do have a lot, but there still need to be more that stand up. We got pastors that are paid too. We know they are. They're paid just like a local politician in some areas. So we've got to fight. Got to go get away.
I'm sure it's like, we'll give you a grant over here. We'll give you a grant over here for this mission that you have. I mean, it's all like a deal. It's a deal.
It's all a deal.
Yeah. And it's coming to light. You know what? Whatever's being done in darkness, God is revealing, and it's coming to light. And it's scary for some. And some people are like, I don't want this red pill, but I want to encourage you, take the red pill and find your people.
Okay. And here, let's here's something for people to think about. If you've watched all of this and you're totally against what we have to say, for one moment, just be open-minded that perhaps our officials may not have really had your best interest at heart, and that they may have been influenced, whether they did it by thinking they might have thought they were doing it for the good, that they sided with some of with certain big corporations. Just be open to that idea. And I think if you can be open to that in your mind, you might be able to see some of the layers that exist out there. Just be open to it.
That's a great way. That's a good point, because we're not here to gain. We're not gaining anything out of this other than we're trying to protect our families, and no one's here to try to get paid, or we're not getting paid a dime. I'm not planning on ever doing that other than trying to get my voice out. You guys are doing the same thing, because we've got to stand up. This is ridiculous, and it is such a lie. Well, of course, we know the lie is so big and it's crossed in so many different areas of our lives that it's hard to see past it sometimes, because it is all encompassing. This lie is so encompassing. It's almost hard not to believe when everybody tells you the same thing on everything you talk to. Everything's on the news, everything on social media tells you the exact same thing. Hard to not believe it.
Did you guys know that Pfizer has an alopecia drug in phase 3 trials? Oh,
yeah, of course they do. Yeah, they've got everything. Yeah, but Big Pharma's been been doing good things for a lot of years.
Yeah. It's always been. And there's a whole thing about the food industry making you sick, but then don't worry, because who owns the food industry? Oh, the pharmaceutical industry, because we're going to have a drug to treat your indigestion or all these things caused by the crap food we've been feeding you. Yeah, but anyway, guys, this has been great. Anybody want to say anything? Closing thoughts here? Anybody got anything else?
No, just I just say encourage it. To go out and try to get involved in your local community. You got to do it. And you know what? If you believe some of this and you really feel like, hey, I'm encouraged, it sounds crazy. start a podcast. Do it. I don't care if 5 people listen to it. Just do it. Do it. Get a way to get it out to some people that it might be just a couple of people that start thinking about this. And those few people, you never know who they're going to talk to. You never have that. You don't know how that's going to influence their own families. You don't know.
But make small groups.
I think get out there and do it.
Make small groups. Like, if you find other like-minded people,
groups.
start even a Facebook Messenger chat or a group text and talk about
Delete Facebook,
and
not
share
Facebook.
what you find. And then you might be, if it all goes to pot, at least you've got other people who are on board and believe like you do.
Yeah. Find your people.
True. Yeah, it's all about community.
Get your communities.
Community. That's right. Find some
Yeah.
people local.
All right, guys.
Even in the neighborhood. So anyway, thank you so much.
All right, guys. It's been great. And we'll see you guys next time. Angry Comics, we're out.